back to another episode of Sleepy Hollow, the missing episodes. Last time, we've actually dealt with the Kraken, and we have defeated her, which is actually a monster that was represented at the end of Season 4 before it got canned. Damn you, Fox. Damn you! But luckily, I was able to continue where it left off, and so we were able to defeat the Kraken, which the series failed to do. And the team just realized that Ichabod has actually damned himself, which means his soul would belong to Lucifer at the event of his death. Not good. And Gavin seems very paranoid about it. So, I hope we'll find the answers to this very shortly. And this is one of the episodes that I just made up. So, hopefully, I'll start by filling in the loose ends. Alright, episode 2, Diafol Galon. You'll see what this means soon enough. Don't know Sleepy Hollow Fox did before its cancellation, even though I'm not sure if it does anymore. Personally, I think FX should take it. This took me a while to put this together. I wasn't sure if I was going to go through with another missing episode, but here it is. This time, Team Witness deals with a menacing demon that is capable of manipulating a person's heart. Due to desperation, Gavin has looked up common solutions involving Ichabod's damnation. The power of love for someone else could save him. He would have a chance if he already offered his soul to someone else, or if he would convert to religion and use some support from Jesus or Mother Mary. Thank you, TV tropes. Since they are both neutral when it came to religion, it'll be a difficult concept. He also found the pentagram could give him abilities such as never feeling pain at the sight of it. Again, thank you, TV tropes. Via communication from Gavin's computer and Ichabod's newly installed PC, they discussed. Interesting. Listen, Gavin. I don't want you to keep worrying that I would disappear someday. If anything should happen to me, you must be ready. Ichabod? I don't think you're taking this thing seriously. It isn't like purgatory or the catacombs. Indeed, it's not. But you have to focus, Gavin. Death is inevitable, and Lucifer is desperate for my soul. I may not be able to escape if there isn't a solution. However, I know you will find a way when the time comes. Keep your options open. The ring and vibration from Crane's phone interrupted the conversation. Oh, it's Agent Thomas calling. I must respond. I'll have to talk to you later. He immediately shut off the monitor before Gavin could respond. Ever since that day when the Kraken attacked at the Potomac River, he couldn't get his mentor's revelation out of his mind. He already lost Abby, Joe, and Chief Sargato. He never thought Ichabod would willingly sell his soul for the Philosopher's Stone. The duo arrived at a nursing home which was on lockdown. Paramedics were everywhere as they carried the elderly away in gurneys. A lot of them had blankets wrapping the residents. It was a sign they were deceased and their identities were concealed. A private nurse escorted the duo and she said their deaths were happening frequently. This was unusual since a lot of the elderly seemed healthy and fit. Plus, it had an outstanding reputation as being the most prestigious in the nation's capital. Out of all the numerous victims, this was the latest incident. They were covered in do not enter tape in the middle of the lobby, and for some odd reason, Ichabod pondered over them as he knelt down. He saw a woman with thick, white shoulder, blah blah blah. According to the CNA, that died almost instantly after they fell asleep in their arms last night. It was as if they passed in their sleep, when their hearts were the most inactive and vulnerable. The disease didn't leave a mark, and it was unlikely since the man and woman never had a history of heart problems. They had a healthy diet and were active. As they were looking over the couple, Ichabod had a sudden pang of sadness. His mind was wandering all over the place. He first had a sudden depression, reminding him of his guilty heart and soul. He wondered why they had their lives taken away so soon. He reflected on his failures for his family, for Abby, for the treachery to his homeland, how he was disowned. He felt he deserved to have his soul eternally imprisoned in hell. Crane! Crane! Are you all right? Barely lifting his head, he muttered, "Yes, I'm fine. I just feel so sorry for them. Why did they have to perish? And why are we here?" That's the thing about being the head of Homeland Security. You get invited to very strange places at the most inopportune times. Yes. His mind was still somewhere else. It was exactly why he used to work with Abby in the sheriff's department as a history consultant, then for the FBI, now as the leader for Agency 355. Crane, we must go. Then as he stood, he looked at his left arm. He felt an irritating feeling beneath his skin. He lifted his sleeve and the pentagram was glowing. Somehow this was a reaction that an omnipotent supernatural force is present. He warned Diana in a whisper. Even she was surprised by this sudden reaction. From the vault, Jake found a hidden file depicting ancient concepts of demons attacking the heart. It wasn't just a state of primitive paranoia. It turned out to be true after over 2,000 years. Could be found in many ancient cultures from European and Chinese. He's known as the Diafol Galon, aka the Heart Devil. The devil manipulates and attacks a person's heart. It can make someone fall in love or have numerous defects such as heart attacks, heartburns, and even creating despair and heartbreak. Unlike many monsters who leave their mark on victims, this one barely left a trace. Alex wondered if the residence at the nursing home was a test of the demon's strength and its abilities. Jake also said that whoever made close contact to those afflicted, they may become the next victim. It's likely he made an external link. It's likely he made an external link. Watch your sixes, you two. Crane could be next due to his unexpected behavior. We will. Thanks, Jake, Diana said before she pulled up to her place. Needless to say, Ichabod was hardly paying any attention to the conversation. He was so self-absorbed. At her bedroom sketching in her notebook, Molly got the call that her mom was home. She went downstairs quickly. Hey, Mom, what happened? Molly's face lit up when she saw Ichabod. Then it fell as he barely looked at her with his negative complexion. Mom, what's wrong with Mr. Crane? He's very sad right now. Why don't you two have a private chat while I contact Jenny? Molly nodded as they walked to the comforting sofas in the living room. Diana called Jenny of Ichabod's condition. She said he feels detached, as in mentally not present. He felt so empty since they examined the bodies. He just kept sulking, looking upset and dejected, and he would hardly talk to Molly except involving his deal. He might have contracted the devil's curse. As Jenny spoke to Diana, Gavin tried to cheer him up, saying that nothing was his fault, and he should never blame himself for what happened. Gavin knew something was wrong. Ichabod hardly feels this emptiness Gavin knows all too well, as he does suffer from depression occasionally. At Sleepy Hollow, they were in her trailer going over what was happening in Washington. I'm sure Crane will figure out how to deal with the pentagram. If not, we will help him, Jenny assured. She laid her gentle hands on Gavin's tense upper arms as she sat beside him on the bed. Look, don't worry about him so much. He'll be okay. As soon as we get rid of this heart demon, we can fix this. I hope you're right, Jenny. He really needs our help. I'll greatly appreciate it if you find a way out of this. You do have a vast knowledge with various religions, after all. And she looked straight into his eyes. Gavin, if anything should perhaps happen to me, I want you to, Jenny. You've already lost your sister, your mom, Joe, Torgado, and August. Whatever happens to Ichabod, I'm not going to lose you too. They leaned closer, eventually took a deep kiss. Gavin had never fell in love with anyone before. This was obviously a first for him. Still, the embrace was very surreal, warm, soothing, and a bit intimidating. He let her lead as they slowly lay down on the bed. He hesitated as he thought it was too soon to go into a relationship. Jenny, I'm not like Joe. I don't even know if I'm your type, that I may not be as strong as him. She didn't care. Gavin, when I resuscitated you, I chose you for a reason. And this is it. Don't be afraid. Ever since that moment, he had a crush on her. He wanted more of her for some odd reason. He really wanted to show her how he felt, but he was too nervous. During this close encounter, he subsided and let her take him away. Their hearts started to race, and their breathing became faster and shallow. He soon became oblivious to what they were dealing with. Then there was a sharp pain. Jenny, stop! What's wrong? He began to screech in agony as the inner turmoil got worse. Helpless Jenny just watched until he collapsed in a heap. Gavin's chest felt as if it was burning scepter stabbed his heart, which was the demon's. It's a hard demon, Jenny. You and Ichabod must stop him. She tried to wake him up. He touched her warm chest and had a sudden low, feeling she was at fault for Malik's encounter, being at the institution, always getting into trouble with the law, how her sister should never forgive her even after death. As her mind kept dwelling in her sorrow, she saw the demon. Had red rotting skin, blah 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 blah. Made a wicked snarl as it hit the window, and she stormed out pursuing it with her Glock drawn like a turret. She tried to shoot it as her heart paced quicker and harder. The bullets had no effect on the demon, just sneered at her as its eyes flashed. She dropped as well while managing to text an SOS to Diana. Her phone was still left on when she finally fainted. Back at the vault, Alex and Jake became concerned since Gavin and Jenny weren't receiving their messages. Then Diana and Crane showed up with the same result. After that, she got a message from Jenny. In it was a plea for help as she and Gavin saw a demon. It was official. Everyone seemed to be bound together. The residents at the nursing home, Ichabod with the old couple, Gavin, then Jenny. According to what Jake found, he concluded all the devil's capabilities were puns concerning the heart itself. The soul, emotions, the mind, love, heart attacks, heartburns, and even heartbreak. A broken heart is what Crane was feeling. Resembles an unfinished love or grief for a loved one. In this case, it was probably about Katrina or his son Henry, or perhaps losing Abby or Trigado. Diana did remember the time when Molly first described him as a sad man, since he always felt he has let his friends down. Alex and Jake also recalled that since they dealt with the spider demon at the Cave of Despair, but he warned her not to say it in front of Crane. Unfortunately, as Ichabod overheard, he succumbed to the infection. He was holding his heart as it was being crushed. His face grew pale while oxygen was being cut. Too late. The team rushed over to him after he collapsed. As they were trying to revive him using a nearby air mask, he had a glimpse of the demon overhead, snickering at him. It's you. He blacked out. By the time he came to, he saw. By the time he came to, he saw everything. The walls were dark blood red. There was a bone-structured floor casting reflections on the circular plane. Victims were anonymous people, including the elderly, Jenny, Gavin, and Molly's, who was in the middle of formation. Their essences were trapped in each sack within the wall. It's almost like a different dimension between life and death. He was shocked they were all close to hell's door. It was similar because the atmosphere was humid and the air was thick, almost like there's a strong weight over this place. He then saw and heard an enormous heart beating, and he thought he was inside a body, but it's actually the demon's turf. Believing it was the source, he reached and tried to touch it, but got shocked. That caused a shearing pain in his hand as he instantly pulled away. The demon materialized behind its newest catch. Ichabod. You You're the monster. Yes, you're the one I've been looking for. The last nail to the coffin. The soul that my master truly desires. Master. Lucifer. Demon gleamed. Wanted to save Ichabod for last since he has the strongest essence as a witness. It was a way to gain enough power to surpass his strength. Ichabod became paralyzed as the demon usurped his faint energy one last time. He kept fighting as the demon mocked him while holding his heart, saying that he has a weak vessel, and all his friends are dead. He was too late to help them. They would soon be joining him at the bowels of the underworld. Krang! She slammed. There was an alto behind him, but she was too weak to notice. She slammed a crystal to the ground, stopping the demon in its tracks. Thick blue fog covered the ground. It provided a cooling sensation. It was an Atlantean Chronos crystal. It was able to manipulate time and stall the horror. Then, using Crane's unconscious body, she laid a translucent hand in his heart as she concentrated to share her essence. After a brief incantation, he finally woke up. Laura! What? How did you? Laura was using her astral form to save Ichabod, Jenny, Gavin, and numerous others from the demon. She only had one crystal at her disposal, so she has to be careful since she has a time limit and can't be attacked by the demon, or else her soul would wander for eternity. And if the candle she's using goes out, she'll be back into the living world. Somehow it sounded familiar to him, but before he had the chance to explain, the effect of the crystal wore off. The demon retaliated, and Laura tossed the guileless dagger to Crane. His chest felt different somehow, as his heart and its palpitations felt different. One witness beats the arteries, the other beats the ventricles. Our hearts beat as one. We fight together! With determination and strength anew, he stood his ground with Laura as the heart demon lunged at them. They split up, and the dive missed, though they still felt scorching heat as it went past them. Ichabod suggested they must destroy the heart while distracting the demon, as it is the core of its life force. Laura and Ichabod mostly used their agility since the dagger was the only weapon. Ichabod took the offense, but the demon teleported every time. It's like slicing thin air. He realized the demon was something like a projection. After it kept disappearing when Ichabod swiped at it, it eventually unleashed its fiery breath on them, and they dodged. As Ichabod was making a counterattack, a scepter appeared in its hands. They were clashing with each other. The demon blocked and evaded Ichabod's blows. He avoided its cauterized scepter. The unbearable heat kept licking his hands and arms. Laura was rushing to the heart. Noticing this, it dissipated before his eyes and sicked on her. Laura! The demon put her in a stranglehold. Her spirit was wavering from the upcoming death of her past vessel and the heart devil choking her. The throat felt as if it were burning with ash. Then, catching his breath, Ichabod momentarily stabbed the heart with a dagger. As the demon weakened, he persuaded Laura to make the final blow with him. Since half of her essence was with him and their hearts beat as one, they held the hilt and did a downward thrust. The heart went still, and hard as a rock as it was turning to a creepy shade of gray. The petrified organ was pierced like a thick, juicy grapefruit. Its hue faded as bubbling blood splattered and ran at their hands. The demon roared and fell to the ground with a thud that shook it. The dimension illuminated in a holy light, and Gavin then Jenny gasped, as if taking their first breath. They noticed they'd been healed, as they had no agonizing pain, pressure, or any sudden random reactions of affection. I think I'll avoid junk food for a while. Molly alerted Diana she had an impending episode during class as she got intense chest pains. She ended up resting at the nurse's office, and she could have sworn she saw a demon looming over her. She was definitely lucky that Ichabod gave her the enchanted necklace just minutes before school started. The bell rang, signaling it was ending. It was 3 o'clock. Diana said she'll pick her up and Mr. Crane is feeling better. Molly was so relieved that her pains are gone, and she'd never see that horrid creature ever again. She also wanted to thank her future vessel for helping Crane save everyone, including her. She put the phone aside and gently clutched her pendant. Thank you, Mr. Crane. As Ichabod recovered at his home, he isn't his true self. He seemed more preoccupied of his fate. Gavin stated, "Giving the pendant to Molly was a great move on your part, as she could have perished by then. But were you expecting this?" "I only wanted Molly to be safe." "Yeah, I know. But were you expecting this? Did you know it was going to happen to her?" "Somewhat, yes." He was confused. What did he mean? "Preparations must be made post-haste, Gavin. The first was he gave Katrina's enchanted necklace to Molly, saying it should protect her from harm as long as she keeps it close to her heart. It actually saved her life since the demon's taint was minimized. Yet still, she has decided she doesn't want to carry the mantle as a witness during their pep talk. Since Laura rescued everyone from their heart failures, and because she's stronger and braver than her, she'd be the perfect candidate. However, she said she'll do whatever she can to help the team when they need it." "Preparations for what? Your damnation?" "And Lucifer's reign." The concept of the Heart Devil was kind of bizarre. One day I was thinking of the final boss from Joe and Mac, the first game I've beaten, and I figured, why not introduce a demon that causes various heart problems? The appearance, however, was different. I couldn't seem to find the old PC game he was in, but he used to scare the crap out of me when I was very young. On one level, if you happened to use the wrong lever within a group of them, it was to unlock a door, but the devil itself keeps showing up. It was some 1990s PC game, but unfortunately I can't recall it. Its attacks were similar to heart problems like burns and cardiac arrest. This could have been a very dangerous monster since the Vitella or the Encordata. And while on the subject of the heart, I decided the two witnesses should share it, as one is the arteries while the other works like the ventricles. It was based on the analogy I had with them. When I saw Sleepy Hollow back in the day, and since there's always two chosen ones at any given time, I figured that Ichabod and Abby were the heart of the series. Those two were always amazing. I thought that Ichabod is like the arteries carrying blood to the heart. As the star of the series, and because he was redcoat turned patriot, he brings in all the action from the war and his experience with battles. Abby is like the ventricles, those that carry blood away. As a pacifist and an officer upholding the law and bringing order to chaos. Without Abby, the series had a bad heart, especially with Sophie as her temporary replacement. Then I felt it went through another transplant until Molly came along. Then Laura when the mantle was passed on to her. Diafol Galon is Welsh for heart demon, and I used to have an old book depicting ancient theories of demons conflicting the heart. It was titled The Heart, and it belonged to a series, but I can't remember the author. Lousy memory lapses. And I realized Supernatural didn't have that idea, so I beat him to the punch with the Heart Devil. In your face. There were some references to many episodes, which I'm sure you've already picked up. Couple almost looked like the one in the movie of the Nicholas Sparks novel, The Notebook. Fight scene was the worst part ever. I always hated writing these things, but I hope I made the battle in the Heart Demon itself pretty scary. Also, I know in her astral form Laura can't touch anything, but sharing her essence with Ichabod as their hearts beat as one kind of helped. Scenario could be a reference to Goku's unknown contraction of the heart virus. Even to this day, no one knows. Here's to another missing episode. Next time could be a proper wrap-up involving Nick Hawley and the Revenge of the Vitella. Actually, I had a change of heart. I had a different point in mind. Hopefully you'll see next time. So, take care, sleepyheads, and keep the faith. Until then, this is the Ekron Writer signing out. So, farewell for the next missing episode. I'll see you guys then.